Chapter 11. The next morning, as we marched by, I could see Erica scanning the crowd. I had made sure that I was on the side nearest her, and then her eyes lit on me. And that is the picture of little Erica I will always remember. She continued to play, but her face broke out into a smile, and as I marched past, also smiling, she played a few extra notes just for me. Then she saw Father, and I saw the tears spill from her eyes. She never stopped playing, but in her eyes there was hope now instead of emptiness and death. That was when I knew for certain that Mother was dead. Had Mother been alive, Erica would not have let herself sink into such despair. She must have believed she was the only one of us left. I wondered where she was staying and how I could get to see her. The train rattles on. It is dead of night now and cold. I think of the next picture. I don't want to think about it, but I must. It is the worst thing I've ever seen, beyond nightmare, beyond belief. It is of bodies burning in pits because the crematoria weren't eliminating the bodies as quickly as the Nazis were gassing them. So they threw them into huge pits. I'd been slaving at the factory for about a week when a new worker was added to my group. It was Adam, a boy from our youth group in Lodz. I was delighted to see him. He was a big fellow, a Polish Jew who spoke Yiddish. On our lunch break, he motioned me over to him, and we sat slightly away from others, our backs against a stack of wood. He spoke in a low voice. Don't give up, Daniel. The Russians are close, and there's a resistance here. I'm part of it. I think you should be too. In fact, there's something very important that needs doing, and I think you're just the right person for the job. Whatever it is, I'll do it, I declared. Anything is better than sitting here like a helpless rabbit. Right, he said. I'll see what can be done. And the next day he told me more. Hundreds of thousands of Hungarian Jews are being transported here, all to be gassed. Already some in the resistance have smuggled out people and a couple of photos to the outside, but we need more evidence. We must convince them that with a few bombs the gas chambers could be destroyed, and the Germans can't kill us at this rate. I'm told it's almost 25,000 a day without the gas chambers. There are a ton of cameras in Canada. The storehouse complex was called Canada because it was bountiful and full of good things, just like the country the prisoners had named it after. I've told my contacts about your camera in the ghetto, how you took pictures all those years without getting caught. They want you to take some pictures of the gas chambers, if we can manage it. Otherwise, of the fire pits where they're burning the bodies. A chill ran through me. I realized at once how dangerous this would be, and if something happened to me, who would look after Father? I'd like to think about it, I replied. Not for too long, Adam cautioned. We'll have to do lots of planning. Once, back in the barracks, I had to try to decide whether to tell Father or not. We were able to sneak a look at Erica twice a day then, and that morning, Father had gotten away with tossing her a small ration of bread, first making sure the guard wasn't looking. I knew he wouldn't want me to take any chances. Still, I felt I owed it to tell him, in case I didn't come back from the mission. There was no privacy in the barracks, nowhere even to crouch, so we squatted just outside the building. There's a resistance movement here, I told him, and they know I'm a photographer. They want me to take some pictures. They'll smuggle them out in the hope that they can convince the Allies that mass murders are actually taking place. For a moment he didn't reply. When he did, his response shocked me. You must do it, Daniel, if you want to. We are all just waiting to be sent to the gas chambers. They'll kill us one way or another. Maybe you can help stop it. I'll try. But you must let me help. I've got some contacts. I can make things in the factory and exchange them for things you could find useful, like a case to conceal the camera, and an ID that would show you to be a laborer who works in the Canada complex, or a capo, someone who might legitimately have to be where you're going, maybe even a new uniform. The next day I told Adam I'd do it. The first thing they had to figure out was how to get me out of the work detail so I could be where I had to be. For a week I heard nothing from them. Then one day Adam sat me down and explained the plan. We'll do it on one of your days off, he explained. We were given 1 day off every 2 weeks. On that day, a capo from the barracks being built will ask for you and your father and about 10 others to come on a work detail. The pits for burning bodies are through the woods parallel to the new barracks. You'll be given the camera at the barracks. You and 3 others will be ordered to carry some supplies from the building site to the pits. The SS guards at the pits will be told you're delivering it to help the burning. Somehow, you'll have to take your pictures. Then you'll be marched to Canada because we want to get some pictures there of the mountains of goods. It should give the Allies some idea of what we're talking about. Especially helpful would be to get a picture of the hair. The women's hair is packaged and sent back to Germany. A picture of a mountain of hair in bags would be very useful. Adam spoke of these horrors in the most matter-of-fact way. You talk of it so calmly, I commented with a shudder, and then he gave me a look I will never forget. I can't even describe it well. Only my camera could have captured it. It was a look that said, I've seen more pain than I can deal with. Don't ask anything of me. I cannot give it. When we arrived on the transport, Adam said to me, I had my little sister Anya by the hand. They tore her from me, and one SS man threw her over to another. She screamed for me, Adam, Adam. Then the SS man took her little body so she was face up looking at him, and he raised his knee, and he broke her like it was a stick. Then he threw her away onto the ground. I live only for revenge now, he added, before he moved away. By the time the next free day came, I was in a general state of terrible anxiety mixed with excitement. For once, I was going to be able to do something. My father also seemed in better spirits. By then, he had managed to develop quite a secret trade. He manufactured spoons and knives at the foundry where it worked. It was dangerous, but he felt it was worth the risk. He bartered the utensils for 2 bowls, one for each of us, a nicely made cloth case that attached to my string belt under my top to hold the camera, and a new uniform so I could pass for a worker from the Canada complex, because they always looked clean and neat. We kissed each other that morning at the 4:30 roll call, and he wished me luck. At 5 a.m., orders came for our departure. A capo I had never seen took charge of us. He kicked a few of us around the head, and he kicked Father savagely. I wondered if the plan was still on. Surely this couldn't be a resistance man. And if it was, I thought he played his part a bit too convincingly. It was not a long march from our barracks to the building site. We were given the job of lugging huge slabs of wood that sat in a large pile over to a barracks in progress. The slabs were heavy, and it took 2 people to carry one. It was terrible work. Soon, the skin over my shoulder bone was cut and bleeding as the wood pressed down relentlessly. As Father and I were lowering a slab, the capo came up to me and punched me in the stomach. I doubled over. The capo reached down as if to give me another blow, but instead, he slipped me the camera. Clutching my stomach, I quickly tucked it into its case and muttered to the capo, Have you ever heard of pretending? Surely his blows didn't have to be so real. We continued to work until mid-morning, when he ordered 3 pairs of us to follow him into the woods. He then pointed out 3 vats of alcohol that had been left under the trees. We picked them up and followed him to the clearing. Smoke seared our faces, and the stench of burnt flesh was so horrible I thought I'd faint. He marched up to one of the SS guards on duty and informed him that we had been ordered to pour extra alcohol over the fire, as it wasn't burning fast enough. The guard nodded and let us proceed. We threw the alcohol onto the blaze, and for one terrible moment, I was forced to look into the pit. There, I saw corpses of every size turning black from heat, and I realized that people I knew could be in there. That there were not just bodies, but each one a murdered human being. And I almost threw myself in with them. That was the closest I'd come to ending it all, which was strange because it was supposed to be the moment I defied the Nazis and could once again feel like a human being. But what did it mean to be a human being? That we could do this to our brothers and sisters? Perhaps it would be better to resign from the human race altogether. It was my father who saved me. He came up behind me and spoke quietly. Daniel, if we let them kill all those who still remember, what is it to be human? What will be left? Still, I wasn't convinced. I didn't care. Daniel, if you jump, I'll jump after you. I knew he meant it. I couldn't be responsible for his death. I took the camera out of its case and made sure the exposure was such that the flames would look like a bright white background and the blackened bodies would show through clearly. I took 3 pictures before I put the camera back. Then I threw the rest of the alcohol into the pit and turned away, the blistering heat tearing through me. Our capo then marched us towards the Canada complex. To get there, we had to pass rows of people just off the transports and on their way to the gas chambers. I looked at all of them, women, children, old men, even healthy men, and I wanted to warn them that soon there'd be nothing but ashes. But I knew I'd be killed on the spot. So many SS, so many dogs surrounded them. And if any Canadian told them of their fate, the Canadian was thrown live into the crematoria fires. After all, destruction on such a huge scale demanded that the victims know nothing. Even now, an SS officer was calling out, "Hurry, please. You'll be disinfected and have showers, and then you'll be reunited with your families in the camp. Make sure you fold your clothes neatly. Remember where they are so you can retrieve them after your showers. Hurry up now, please." How could they imagine, these Jews from Hungary, what was in store for them? In fact, I believe it was only those of us who had been in Poland who suspected the real truth. How could the others even imagine it? We were marched to Canada, where we returned the empty alcohol vats. With great authority, the capo marched us into various storehouses. I managed to take 3 more pictures. Any more would have been too dangerous. On the way back to the building site, I handed the camera over to the capo. He tucked it into his inside jacket pocket. As he did so, he gave me a wink and then a kick. The wink wasn't much, but it lifted my spirits enormously. We'd pull it off. I just prayed that we could get the photos out of the camp and into the hands of someone who could do something. Even now, the fiery image of that day stays burned in my mind. I will never, ever forget it.